Hi, my name is Stephen Thomas from SMT Data. I'm going to be giving a demo of ITBI for servers. Before we go into the demo, just a few words about how the product works. ITBI is, as the name implies, a business intelligence solution working with IT technical data. Today we're going to be talking about data from servers, and we're particularly going to be focusing on Windows and Linux servers. This data is collected with the help of a small data collector running on a Windows server that uses WMI or secure shell to collect the data from Windows and Linux in an agentless fashion. This data is put into an SQL data warehouse running on a Windows server, either at the customer location or in the cloud. The technical data can then be enriched with business mapping data, which helps us understand who is using the capacity and what does it cost. From the data warehouse, we generate standard analysis services data cubes, and then we can access those cubes via a standard business intelligence tool to do analysis and reporting on top of this data. And it's the business intelligence tool that we'll be actually seeing in the demo. So let's go over to the demo. We're going to start out at a very high level. Basically, what we're trying to do is look across about 1,000 servers and get some KPIs, give us an indication of where there's some right-sizing potential, that is some potential savings by adjusting the capacity of these servers in order to save some money. So what we're looking at is a number of graphs here. We have a total cost, for example, which is where we go out and see what's the configuration of all these servers, and we have a cost model which allows us to compute based on the configuration what these servers cost. And then we also have a computation which says, based on the usage patterns of these servers, what would be the ideal configuration of these servers, and how much money could we save if we then right-size these servers to this ideal configuration. And this is broken down here. We can see this the software cost component of it. We can also see it in technical terms, where we're looking at the number of logical processors we actually measure out there compared to the number of logical processors we evaluate are needed to actually run the workload, and similarly with memory and disk. So KPI dashboards are very useful for understanding the potential and for managing a right-sizing project. But to actually do the right-sizing, we need to drill down into more detail here. So what we're going to be looking at is we're going to start with what we call a cost overview. And what we see here is a list of all the servers where we've calculated the actual cost of each server based on the configuration. And then we've also calculated what would this server cost if we had right-sized it, that is, reduced the configuration to match the workload that's actually running on this server. And then we have a savings, which is the difference here, and then we can sort the list to look for the low-hanging fruit. That is, the largest servers, the ones that have the greatest potential savings by right-sizing. But of course, we need to validate this before we actually go into right-sizing. So we're going to drill down even further. So I'm going to pick one of these servers, this number 511, and look at the same data, but here from a technical perspective. So rather than money, what we're seeing here is the actual configuration of the server in terms of gigabytes of disk, gigabytes of memory, and number of cores running on this server, but also what it is we have calculated is needed to run the workload on the server based on the usage patterns we see, and then what the difference is. So on this particular server, for example, it has 24 cores. We see, based on the workload, it could easily run with 2 cores. That would be a savings of 22 cores. But let's drill down even further to really understand what's going on this server. And what we see here is the month of January. Beginning of the month, as we saw, there's 24 cores on this server. Usage is down around 5%, very stable usage there, which is our basis for evaluating this server could be right-sized. So here on the 22nd of January, we reduced the number of cores from 24 down to 8. And we see a little pickup in the CPU utilization in percent, but not much at all. So this was a right-sizing that was clearly the right thing to do here. If we go and look at the following months, let's just take February, March, April, May, and June into this graph here. And what we see here is that the server was again right-sized in May, where we went from 8 cores further down to 4 cores. And here we see again a little pickup in the CPU utilization, but still we're down around 30 to 40%, which indicates that our initial assumption that we'd actually go all the way down to 2 cores in the server was probably right. Just below that, we have memory. As you can see, 64 gigabytes of memory, where it's been using around 5. But we also see here, starting in March, a memory leak. There's a very typical memory leak curve going up here. And we restart the server in May and reduce the memory to about 8 gigabytes. And we see after that it stays comfortably within the 8 gigabytes that we've reduced. So again, we've done some right-sizing in the server. We can see the results of it and clearly achieve some savings on the server. But we can go down even further. Let's just take those days right around January 22nd, where we did the right sizing here. Let me just zoom in on the 22nd, 23rd, 24th of January. And then from here, go down to the most detailed data that we have within the data cube. Here we're looking at the individual processes running on this server in 10-minute intervals. And here on the left, we have the sort of top 20 processes and how much resource they're consuming. And on the right, we see the graph in 10-minute intervals. And you can clearly see where we did the right sizing here, where there's a little pickup in the CPU utilization. But again, a very low CPU utilization in general for this server. So a couple of observations here. One is, if you remember from the financial dashboard where we were looking at the initial right sizing of this, we said that there was a SQL Server license running on this, which was a significant portion of the cost. When we actually look at what's running on the server, we don't see SQL Server actually running. So the license is installed here, we're paying for it, but it's not running. So one possibility to save money could be just uninstall SQL Server from this server. The other observation is, this server is not doing much at all. Is this a server we could just turn off and save some money? So it was sort of a very quick journey from some KPIs, looking across about 1,000 servers, down to some individual processes running on an individual server, all based on the same data cube. Just at the end here, I'd like to just step back to this dashboard, and we start out looking in April. Let's take October into the picture as well, which is sort of before and after we did our right-sizing exercise. And as you can see, our cost has gone down from 664,000 euros a month to about 561,000, so more than 100,000 a month we've been saving. We can see there's still a potential saving of about an additional 200,000 a month if we do more right-sizing on the servers here. So that was sort of a very quick overview of some of the things you can do with ITBI for Windows. If you're interested in more information, please visit our website at www.smtdata.com or contact us at info@smtdata.com. Thank you very much.